can't lose. No, we can't lose.
Enjoy it while it lasts. Gambling gods, fickle bunch. Oh yeah, so easily
We
affected.
have a shooter and a good one coming out for a new point. Get your bets down, ladies and gentlemen. He's a rolling point is 9, place 9. 9 a winner. Got a hot hand. Place your bets, ladies and gentlemen.
They bet on absolutely anything. Don't make them prove.
On Draftkings, but these numbers are pricing an SGP and not a parlay.
Then I would need way more information and can't even tell you.
You're tuned in to Gambling with Good JuJu.
Welcome in, everybody, to Gambling with Good JuJu, starring everyone's two favorite plucky upstart content creators, somewhat obsessed with all forms of gambling. Does that sound fair?
Is that us?
That's us. No?
Stars of the show.
All right. Well, we kick things off. Head on over to your YouTube or your favorite podcast platform and give us a like, follow, subscribe, all those buttons that lets them know you appreciate what we're doing. Give us a follow on the socials at Good JuJu Bets. And if you really like us, then head on over to goodjujubets.net, click on the merch shop, and show your support. On today's episode, we've brought back on friend of the show and promotional betting savant, Jeff, of the always entertaining and valuable Twitter account at Thee Degen Boosts. No heat check, no screwing around. Jeff, welcome in to Gambling with Good JuJu, our first ever episode featuring a guest on YouTube. Thanks so much for joining us, bud.
Thanks for having me. Fired up, ready to be here.
Before we get started talking about promos, I would like to discuss the Joker under 2.5 points play. Because let me say real quick here, I saw it, I respected it, I didn't bet it, and I hate myself for it. Was that bet a plus EV wager, or did you just throw that out there for account health?
I definitely didn't just throw it out for account health, but I can't say that this was like that I knew an exact fair value. It was I would argue calculated risk, but a little bit degenerate play. I really don't place anything just for fun, but I was just looking, and the site had maybe 10 of the all-stars, basically the OGs, so like LeBron, who didn't even end up playing, but KD, Steph, and all of them listed at the same price, plus 36.75 for 2 or less points. And I was like, well, they can't all be the same odds. So something's probably wrong here. Maybe all the prices are trash, but maybe not. And then I saw Jokic, and I immediately thought, Jokic doesn't try in the All-Star games, ever. And then I just looked up his stat line, and in full All-Star games, he had multiple full 4-point games, and these were going to be only to 40 point. So I just immediately knew, I was like, this is good. I don't know what the fair price is, but this is good. And so I was happy to hammer it, and I bet what they took, it was only $200, so it wasn't anything crazy, but I was happy to take it.
What was the price you got?
36 to 1, but maybe it was 36.25 or 36.75 or something like that.
That's a pretty good score, bud.
Wow.
So I mean, I still got lucky to hit it. Like, I wasn't thinking, oh, this is more than 50% chance to hit or anything.
Sure.
But I was like, is this going to hit 1 in 36? Yeah, I mean, it just seemed like a no-brainer.
It's just crazy that that's the one you put out, where you're like, yeah, this is good at 36 to 1. But what's that mean? Like, it should be 30 to 1? Still a plus EV play. And then he puts it out there, and I'm like, that is a weird play he's playing. But then I did think the same thing. I was like, well, Joker doesn't try in the All-Star game, so you have a chance. And then when it hit, it was like, I had this mix of celebrating with you, Jeff, but also being mad at myself.
Yeah.
Because there was no way I was going to bet that for no reason whatsoever. Did you have a boost or anything on it?
No, I didn't. There wasn't a boost, and I didn't put out any description. I just said something like, am I stupid or no? Or
yeah, right.
Because I thought in my head, I'm like, this bet is sharp as hell. I'm stoked about this bet, but also, he could easily just kind of try a little bit and score 4 points in the first 30 seconds, and you feel like an idiot. But I mean, these All-Star games normally go to 150 points, and these were only going to go to 40, and normally he only has 4 in those. So it just seemed like a no-brainer, and I don't think they really thought too much about pricing it.
Yeah.
Right.
So we'll take it. Every once in a while, some weird things like that happen. I lose plenty of those too that I think are super sharp, and they fail miserably, but that one worked out.
Love it. Nice hit.
All right, let's talk about betting promos in 2025. It's been almost 1.5 years since we had Jeff on to talk about promos with us, and I feel like a lot's changed. So let's start here, Jeff. How do you feel about the profitability in betting sportsbook promos today versus a couple years ago?
It hasn't changed as much as I expected it to change. I thought within a year, because it was so crazy, there's so many promos, and it just felt like free money if you knew what you were doing. I thought they'd be kind of dried up by now. They're really not, but there are less sports books, right? I mean, there's a couple sports books in all of our states that have already gone under, and those offered some decent promos that you could take advantage of that you no longer can. If you've been winning for a long time on Draftkings for 2 straight years, you're probably not getting the promos you used to get. Or maybe you are getting the promos and it says max $25 bet, and then you go to bet it and it lets you bet $4.50 or whatever. So that's certainly a problem that people are running into, but there's still like a lot of boosts and promos basically every single day. This weekend was sort of a bad example since there was no NBA or NHL other than the All-Stars. There wasn't as many promos going on, but you could still find value. I still think it's worth your time if you have it. For me specifically, as betting's gone pretty well and your bankroll grows, those $25 promos aren't as exciting because even though your EV percentage-wise is super good on a lot of those promos, dollar-wise, it's not that exciting. Maybe you have a 20% edge, but if it's on a $10 promo, it's only $2 every single time you do it, compared to a 2% edge on, $1,000 bet or whatever, gets a little bit more exciting. So I think the state of promos is totally fine. I mean, if you're just starting out, you're still going to be able to get a ton from BetMGM, Caesars, FanDuel, but there's just less books. There's less of the niche books like Superbook or something to take advantage of a year and a half ago.
One of the things I've noticed that has been disappointing has been a shift away from boosts on, say, a parlay or anything, or those kinds of boosts, and towards more SGP or live bet wagers, where the amount of vigorish is for someone who's not trying to dive in and do the math themselves a little bit more complicated to unearth. Does that feel true to you, or is that just in my head?
Not just in your head. That's a great point that I really should have mentioned. It is frustrating. I personally hate when they give live boosts, even if they're clearly good. Let's say it's a 25% live boost on just a single straight bet. Well, you can pick randomly on a side or total and it's good, but I like to give out plays for them, and giving out plays live, it just doesn't work because people won't be able to get them in time. And you're definitely right about sometimes they'll do, hey, a 20% boost on a live same game parlay that needs to be 3+ legs. Well, you actually have to work to make that good, and it's a pain to actually get it in.
Yeah.
And the same game parlay, let's say Draftkings, they really like giving 20% boost on a soccer same game parlay X. It's not like the old boost where you can just pick 3 or 4 random legs and it's automatically good. Once it's a same game parlay, specifically for soccer, where Draftkings gives some pretty horrible same game parlay prices, you do have to do a little bit more work. And if your max is only $10 and you've been betting for a while, maybe that's not as worth for you.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're totally right. And they, in general, on top of that, they do more build your own boost stuff compared to the preset boosts of, hey, we're going to boost LeBron to score 25 points tonight. We're going to boost Patrick Mahomes to score 2+ passing touchdowns. Those I can calculate, give out the odds, say, hey, this is good, and it's good all day, compared to if I make a parlay, put it out, maybe 2 or 3 of the legs have moved.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit harder for people to get on the same stuff. I think that's intentional. I mean,
Of
it makes
course.
sense.
Yeah.
But that is one downside compared to 2 years ago. You'd have a lot of those preset boosts.
Yeah. And at DraftKings especially, it seems like a lot of the same game parlay legs are now all one ways. So that doesn't help.
I'd like to talk about DraftKings in general here for a second.
Yeah, I got a gripe with them.
It feels like their algorithm for determining what you get for your promos, how much you get for your promos, what kind of promos you get, is a little bit schizophrenic relative to some of the other books. I get extremely consistent promo offers with Caesars, extremely consistent promo offers with FanDuel. With DraftKings, my limits will shift from $10 to $30 to $100 to $25. And every day, even I have to click every single time on the details to see how much they're giving me.
Yeah.
Do you get the same situation, or is it just, am I living on some sort of weird border where it's fluctuating like crazy for me?
I get the same thing. I know exactly what you're talking about, and it is a bit weird. And the interesting thing is DraftKings clearly has different kind of departments in charge of giving promos and their traders as far as standard limits go. Because I'll just say my main, my real DraftKings account has been limited to where I basically cannot bet anymore at all, like $1. But for a while, like they were giving me better and better promos of like 50. So it was good for a little bit. And so their promo department labeled me as square because I was betting a bunch of same game parlays for a while, somewhere I found an edge in. But then the trader saw me, didn't like it. So it's kind of funny. They're kind of disconnected.
Yeah.
The same thing happened to Jolly St. Vic, where he was getting $250 limits, considered VIP through their promo program, and he could only bet it on like one or two markets on any one sport. Like he could only bet it on sides and totals. And even then, at a certain point, he started getting limited on those.
Yeah, like they don't even let you realize the entire offer.
Yeah, he could not realize his offer.
And my favorite is a risk-free SGP. It's like, okay, cool. Have your $25 risk-free SGP. No, you can only bet $7. So then I lose and I get my $7 free bet. Now I can't use this on anything. That's where I kind of threw in the towel. Like, I'm done with them.
So you don't bet the DK boost at all anymore?
I don't even bet on DK anymore.
Oh.
It's over.
What do you bet boosts or promos on any sites anymore?
Oh, yeah, sure.
What sites do you still go?
FanDuel.
FanDuel.
Caesars sometimes, if it's just like a regular parlay. Like we know their scam on the same game parlays. It's like add a leg and it gets worse no matter what.
Yeah. Hey, random question, Jeff. Why do you put together plays for like ESPN bet, but you don't for like MGM?
Because I don't have an account that's getting promos on MGM for me to build them.
So you still you have an account with ESPN that lets you build promos?
Yeah. Perhaps I'm consulting with a fiance. Of course, I would never place those bets myself, but she's pulling up the bets, and I'm saying, "Oh, that looks pretty."
Let me get my pencil out. Yeah,
I hear your wife, but your wife likes to do that on MGM. Weird that your wife likes to do it on ESPN, or your fiance, and your wife likes MGM.
Yeah, that's weird.
So interesting. Okay. All right. I was just curious. All right.
Yeah.
So right now, if you were to look across all the different books, let's talk about the main three then. So if like MGM, for me, I can still bet on MGM. So like that's why I'm interested, but I can't bet on ESPN, But the ones that seem to be most longevity and consistently give out plays, Caesars, FanDuel, and DK all have promos on a pretty consistent basis. So let's say I have time to get down like 3 to 5 promos on any given day or week or something along those lines. What promos would you recommend for folks who are like getting jazzed? Check these out. These are going to give you probably your best edge.
Well, biggest edge is basically anything that is a bet and get. Obviously, it depends on the percentage, but if it's bet $10, get a $10 free bet, you have to try hard for that to not be in your favor. Even you could lose both bets, but in the long term, it's just a great promotion. Slightly worse than that are the no sweat bets. You bet $10, and if you lose, you get $10 back, or maybe it's a 50% refund. The expected value on those, especially if you're playing them aggressively at high odds, is like 50%. So those are insane.
Let me ask this real quick. So let's say you get a no sweat SGP, and you have compared to that a 50% profit boost on anything. Would you view an SGP no sweat still more valuable than a 50% if you can put it on anything?
Probably.
Really?
It would, it depend on the limit and stuff, but a no sweat SGP is almost immediately, if you bet it at high odds and you're not getting a terrible price, you're going to have like a 50% edge. So yes, but a 50% boost on a straight bet, let's say, college basketball spread, of course, that's really good still.
Yeah.
So either way, it's a good promo either way. Okay. The no sweats are really good. Even if they're on bad bets, even if it's a no sweat on a first basket scorer, no sweat on a guy to get a home run, they're just really good.
I'd like to better understand how confidently I can bet into some of these promos without tailing and without calculating the edge myself. To do that, let's talk through an example of a promo bet I bet just today. It was a 50% college basketball 4-leg parlay boost. No same game parlay requirement. I did not line shop this. I used another service telling me what they like and used those picks. I did, upon investigation, apparently get the best of the number, okay? 4 picks, 2 against the spread, 1 was an under, and 1 was money line at like minus 150 or something. Here are the odds from worst to first. FanDuel got plus 995, MGM plus 1035, Caesars plus 1045, Circa was plus 1076, and the book that I had the promo on, Draftkings, was 1086 boosted to plus 1630. Got that? As best you can.
I got the gist.
Yeah, right. You get the narrative. Yeah.
All right.
I got the gist. Yeah.
So let's do this. So taking this example, I have a few questions. 1, is this enough information for you to determine if I have a plus EV bet?
Almost definitely. You said it's not a same game parlay, right?
Not a same game parlay.
Okay. So just very quickly, let's say you randomly picked 5 spread bets. So you get minus 110 on every single one of them. Your final odds are going to be 1296. If you boost that up by 50%, you already have like almost a 30% edge if you pick totally randomly. So in your case, if you're getting the best number or close to the best number on every book, guarantee you have an edge because a 50% boost is pretty drastic. So on only a 4-leg parlay, you're good.
Okay.
Now, you're only going to win that 6% of the time. You're going to lose a lot, but for the price, guarantee it's good.
So you can confidently state that without running the numbers, right?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. That's exactly what I was hoping for and what I wanted to hear. Now, I'm pretty confident I have a plus EV wager here without running the numbers and just knowing it's better than I can get elsewhere, and I just got 50% boosted to it. But I'm not so sure I have a plus EV bet if we tweak it a little, okay? So let me ask this. If my promo had been bet on FanDuel with a 50% boost, let's say, because I just put those together randomly, and I happened to have the best number, let's say mine had come in at plus 995, and the rest of the books were scattered between 10 to 1 and 11 to 1. Are you still confident without looking at it, without running the numbers, that I still have a plus EV bet?
With a 50% boost on a non-same game parlay, definitely.
Okay.
Same game parlays, it can get tricky because all the books sometimes can just give such horrific prices on those, especially when you have 4, 5, 6 legs. But for a standard parlay, yeah, you're good.
Let's keep going. The promo boost is 25% instead of 50% on DK. I've got the best number on DK. Can you still confidently state I have a plus EV wager without running the numbers?
I wouldn't be 100% certain. I would say probably. So again, with a 25% boost, it's substantial enough where, like I said, if you're picking randomly, you're still going to have an edge with a 25% boost in low VIG markets of minus 110, minus 110. If you're playing like in the minus 120s, let's say it's on both sides, right? Some market that they're not confident in, or you're playing this on Fliff or whatever that has super high VIG, then maybe not. Because it's just harder to overcome that VIG. The 25% boost.
I don't think you realize how helpful this is. This is crazy helpful. Okay, one last one here. What if it is a 50% boost on DraftKings, but these numbers are pricing an SGP and not a parlay?
Then I would need way more information and can't even tell you. Because with SGPs, you just never know. I mean, you're probably good with the 50% boost is very substantial to where it's kind of hard to make it bad. But occasionally, like you guys have seen on Caesars, sometimes you'll bet a guy to score a touchdown on Caesars, and then you add his team to win, and your price actually gets worse.
Yeah.
Yes.
Or it goes nowhere. And obviously, just because Devonta Smith scores doesn't mean the Eagles are going to win. So with SGPs, I don't like saying anything for certain unless I can see, the SGP itself.
I want Caesars to know that I have a screen recording of me taking a 2-leg parlay that with 2 legs was priced at 257 or something, added a 3rd leg, a player prop receiving over or something like that, and the odds plummeted to plus 150.
Yeah, take that, Caesars.
You took 2 legs, Caesars. You took a 2-leg parlay, you turned it into a 3-leg parlay, and you made it a plus 150 instead of a plus 257. There's no world where that makes sense.
I think DraftKings was the first one to figure this out.
Unbelievable.
That used to really piss me off.
That makes me so angry.
Right. So it's like, why bother?
All right. Last question here. If the SGP had been, you needed more information for the FanDuel, or for the DraftKings. So particularly if it were on FanDuel and you're not even getting the best odds, you're not pricing out to see whether or not your SGP is better than other books, you're definitely not recommending that you bet it without having more information.
Right. But again, a 50% boost, odds are it's probably good if it's only 4 legs. It's a substantial enough boost where you're almost definitely overcoming the vig. It's just with same game parlays, I can't confidently tell you, hey, here is what the math is, because they apply a different correlation on the back end. And so we can't see exactly what we're doing all the time.
Okay.
So it's almost definitely good. But I haven't seen FanDuel do the same thing as Caesars where it actually gets worse. But I have seen a lot of, hey, you add a leg, and it's very positively correlated, but definitely not 1-to-1, and they don't even increase the price at all.
Yeah.
So they can still screw you too. FanDuel gives actually pretty bad prices on a lot of their same game parlay pricing. So
the reason I bring this up, and the reason that I think it's so important to discuss this aspect of it is, well, for one thing, prices seem to be moving very quickly on things, and, trying to tail folks on Twitter and getting those plus EV plays from everyone else, that's work, and that takes timing, and that takes, even like if you put out a play 5 minutes later, it can be gone. You know what I'm saying? And that's true of any of the plus EV accounts that we work with. So for us to be able to put it together ourselves and still know we're making responsible plays with it is important, without having to maybe sit down and do the math ourselves. Which, at this point, we've got a little bit pegged on that. I would say that if we wanted to run the numbers the way you do every day, we could. But ultimately, I'm not so much worried about finding a 10% edge versus a 5% edge at this point, right now, where I'm at in my gambling career. I'm much more interested in, I don't have time for doing a whole lot of this. And I just want to be able to get my plays in so that at the end of the day, I know I'm betting responsibly and also still having a good time with my evening entertainment. So that's kind of where I'm at, more of a hobbyist perspective today. We can talk later in the interview about where we're going longer term. But at this point in time, and I think for a lot of people who are probably following you and who are looking for those plays, this isn't a real income thing. This is how do I have fun with this hobby and how do I keep it profitable?
Not lose. Right. How do I not lose money doing this?
So just knowing, okay, if I've got a 50% boost and I'm price shopping and I know the prices are pretty good on DraftKings versus those, I don't have to worry that I'm still compromising an edge. But if that promo is an SGP, I need to be much more careful, and I need to, look into these lines, and I need to understand how much did I really get when I added this leg. How much did that move? Did it go down from a plus 256 to a plus 150? You should not add that leg. Even if you add 100% boost, it's not going to help you. But if you're seeing it build consistently and adding that price in, then you kind of have a better idea. So that's the reason I bring that up. Trying to get at how can I get some of these plays in responsibly with the limited amount of time that I have.
Yep.
Does that make sense?
all that definitely makes sense. I would say kind of a good rule of thumb, especially if you're betting two things that maybe are slightly correlated but cannot be that much. So like two NBA players to both go over their point totals, those things are correlated, assuming they're in the same game but on opposite teams, but it's not super heavily.
Right.
Like if the game is fast paced and maybe the game goes longer and is close, then both the star players are a little bit more likely to go over. Well, let's say you're betting minus 110 on both the legs. If they weren't correlated at all, they're going to give you like 264, right? Minus 110, parlay with minus 110 is going to be 264. So if you see, hey, I just parlayed two minus 110s together and they're giving me 196 plus 200 plus 205, something like that, you're kind of getting screwed, or very likely are. And so a 20% boost might not be enough to overcome that.
Yeah.
It just takes a little bit more work. I have a whole video series on correlation and mastering correlation. I think it's pretty easy to follow, but it does take a little time out of your day to do it. So
Let's plug it. Where can we see that?
Yeah, we're going to need to know that information there, Jeff.
just on my YouTube, just on Thee Degen Boosts. If you type in Thee Degen Boosts correlation, it'll pop up.
Fantastic.
See, this is why we need to be more on YouTube and less on Twitter.
Oh, is that what you're telling me?
Folks, check out our last
call back to the last episode
for more on that.
Yeah, so I literally only use SGP Boosts for Jaylen Brown first basket, Celtics win, and throw in another guy.
See, that's the problem. I only use SGP Boosts because, I really want to bet on something I want to watch.
That's fine. Like, why not do that?
Well, my January did not go well, right?
Well, yeah, you're going to lose money. That's a problem.
That's the problem. I want to do it and not lose money. Right. So I just need to take the game I'm interested in watching and parlay it, not SGP it, with a different game and use one of those boosts instead.
There you go.
Boom. That is kind of what I've been doing.
Yeah, there you go.
Right. We're okay there. All right, moving on.
Yeah, okay.
All right. So you kind of mentioned and alluded to this earlier. You're surprised at how long the promo game has held on from like 2 years ago when we last did this. What are your thoughts on 2 years from now?
I would imagine there'll be at least a few less books or some sort of consolidation where, Draftkings buys ESPN Bet, for example. I don't predict that specifically, but something like that. Maybe Fanatics goes under and somebody buys them. Perhaps both books still exist, but now there's a little bit less competition. Instead of there being 7 independent companies in your state, now there's only 5. And with less competition, presumably there should be a little bit less promotional activity. Certainly there'll be, you would think, a little bit less new customer promos, because if they've been in your state for 4 years, the market's a little bit saturated and they're thinking to themselves, well, most of the people who really want a sports bet have already signed up. We're not going to go so crazy with these new customer promos anymore.
Yeah.
I still think that there's going to be promos, though. Just they'll look a little bit different. I mean, you look at a Bovada or one of these offshores, they still offer boosts every single day, and some of them are really good, and they've been around for years and years and years. BetOnline offers boosts, and BetOnline offers cashback stuff. So and new customer promos.
Interesting.
And they've been around for, I don't know how long, 20 years? I'm not entirely sure, but a long time. So I don't see them going away, but presumably there will be a little bit less every year for a little while until it probably kind of tapers off to some small level.
Yeah.
Would be my guess. I mean, I don't know. Who knows how the industry is going to go?
What, in your opinion, is the best book for promos right now?
Oh, that's going to rank. Yeah. A1 for you, promo-wise.
Well, are we talking fresh account? Are we talking?
No, let's talk a cooked account, right? Like,
oh yeah, that's what you want.
Well, of course. Like,
all right, let's do both. You've got a new person. What they got one account they can start, not factoring in the new promos. They've just got it for the day-to-day promos. What would you recommend for them?
Brand new person, probably DraftKings. I mean, they just offer a ton. And even though, like we've discussed, I don't like the direction they've taken some of them. Plus, with DraftKings, you also have to factor in the crowns. I know it doesn't give you a ton and the conversion rate isn't good, but it is still bonus money coming back to you as you're getting volume down.
Yeah.
And FanDuel doesn't have crowns. Caesars kind of does. They don't. It's not identical, but they have those reward credits and you can turn them into bonus bets. BetMGM has stuff like that as well. But I think DraftKings, if you're like a totally brand new person, you're probably going to get the most amount of promos. Totally cooked account, the answer for me is really easy. It'd be FanDuel.
Yeah.
Because even a totally cooked FanDuel can usually still bet decently on a lot of stuff. Not all stuff. Like my tennis limits are, well, everything is limited to 1% now. But so tennis is really low, soccer is really low, but I can still bet on NBA. And when it comes to a promotion, I can still at least get the $10 down for their little boost.
Yeah, they never say $10 and then you show up and it's $3.
Right.
So shout out FanDuel for that.
Unless you've already bet the thing.
Yeah.
I find FanDuel to be the least enjoyable from a promo perspective, though. Like, their boosts have gotten low. That's the one I feel has shifted the most from our last conversation, Jeff, in terms of the quality of the boosts that they give out. They used to do the daily boosts way more often that were almost always plus EV.
The pre-built ones.
They hardly ever do those anymore.
They keep screwing with Dinger Tuesday.
They screw with that. They have way more SGP and way less parlay offers overall.
And thank you for bringing up the reward points. Like, how the hell do they not have?
Yeah.
It's like ESPN bet. Like, I bet a couple things and they'll give me a Starbucks gift card. Like, there's nothing on FanDuel.
I feel like FanDuel's moving, and their limits are all really low. So like that's the other thing. I feel like
for the promo.
it's consistently $10 for me, and maybe that's just me being limited, and I have more issues there than other books. But I feel like the craziness of DraftKings and the desperation of DraftKings with the new user requirements kind of really helps.
Yeah,
is what it feels like to me.
All right, what about? Do you bet on like DFS sites, Underdog, that style, Prize Picks?
Yes, but my state didn't have them for the longest time. Some legal loopholes were jumped through by Underdog and Prize Picks. So we do have Underdog and Prize Picks now, but most of them I still can't bet on. So all of these random ones that pop up like Vive and Sleeper, I still can't get in on my state. Prize Picks is kind of annoying. It's sort of a limited version of Prize Picks.
Oh,
using, but basically they call it player versus player. It's really not at all. You're basically just doing standard parlays, but it's a little bit weird, and so they have a few less offerings on Prize Picks.
Yeah, that is weird. But Underdog's pretty standard, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, my Underdog got cooked really quickly, unfortunately. I thought I found a massive edge, and I still think I did. I bet the heck out of it for maybe a month, lost about $6,000 and got limited and can't bet on there anymore. So it was a fun experience, you know, with the classic where you're like, oh, I'm going to make so much money on here. You hammer it, you run kind of bad, and then obviously like they thought it was an edge too.
I was just going to say.
My account.
Yeah, they definitely thought you had the edge. So that's great. Well, do you have any tips for churning an Underdog $2,000 deposit, 50% deposit match? I have 1 week to do this.
I almost wouldn't call it churning when a lot of times when people talk about churning, they're like, hey, I got to play through $2,000 or $5,000 on one of these sites, and I'm just going to hold everything to different books and collect the bonus, right?
Right.
So you bet plus 100 on Bet Online and then plus 100 on DraftKings, collect the free money. On Underdog, it's really difficult to do that, of course, because you need to bet parlays. And what I think a lot of people would instinctually do is say, well, I'm just going to play safe parlays and I'm just going to play the 2-pick parlays. I think you guys know that the math behind those are really bad.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do that. So really you do. Sorry.
This is literally what I told him to do.
So you want to bet more aggressively.
On Mike, yeah.
Do at least 3 picks or 5 or 6 picks. I'd have to double check all the math and see exactly what's optimal right now.
Well, they're all different too.
So let me ask this, because I just ran this exercise on Vivid Picks. Let me give you a quick story here, Jeff.
All right. So
200.
I'll
Dude,
something.
I got a Vivid Picks $250 100% deposit match, one-time playthrough. All I got to do is play through $500 to get $250. Every single bet I made, I line shopped it. I made sure that, they were as bad a lines on the only books that are putting them out there, FanDuel and Caesars, as possible to this. So like everything, if it was listed on our tool that we use as Underdog, because I was checking Underdog to find them for Vivid Picks because they just copy each other on everything. If it said Underdog minus 122, which isn't very good odds realistically on this,
right?
And then it would say like minus 140 or something worse on these other books. So everything at least was somewhat better on this. Churned the 100%. Did it in like less than a week, and my account after putting in $250 said $249, Jeff.
Nailed it.
I lost $1 churning 100% promo where but I did exactly what you said not to do. I did 2 picks on everything just to get them in, just to bet them, get it down and go with it. And it ran very cold, and I might not have even had an edge. I don't know, but it was a disaster. So what do you say I should do this time for Underdog?
Well, real quick, I don't know that book as well because I can't bet on it. Is it when you do a 2-pick, is the payout 3x or essentially a plus
200?
It's a plus 200.
Yeah, those are just brutal because you need an insane win rate to get those. So like I said, I don't know that site, but
they also have the worst pay table beyond 2 picks too. So
let's say FanDuel was what I was referencing as the most sharp book out of those options, right? But if FanDuel was offering minus 140 on it, if you were to parlay 2 minus 140s, that's much closer to a plus 200 than if you're doing it with like minus 110s.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's 2 minus 140s would be like 195, but that's assuming the minus 140 is the Novig line.
Right.
So
it's not.
Which it's not. Yeah.
Right. If
It was-
minus 140/105 on the other side, then your fair odds are whatever, closer to minus 120 or something.
Yeah.
So it's still good that you're doing that rather than betting completely 50-50. If you're betting on the side that's favored, at least you're going to hit at above 50%. But to beat the essentially plus 200 payout of Prize Picks, Underdog, all those sites, you need to hit, I think, above 60%, which is pretty tough to do.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you recommend I have done?
Well, it wouldn't be above 60%. It'd be, what would it be, like 58, 57.5%, but that's still pretty high.
Yeah.
On each leg.
It didn't.
Yeah. Well, just think about it this way. Like, even if you would have added a leg to all those losers, like, it wouldn't have helped.
All right. Jeff, if you're giving this recommendation here today, if I'm looking to go find a best way and would you go 5-6 legs? Would you go 3 legs? Would you do what I was doing and just look for lines where I can get better than FanDuel? How would you run that scam?
Well, every single one of these, almost every single one of these, the payout is different
Yeah.
depending on the legs. So you need to look at each individual book and see, okay, what exactly is the payout here? And they normally say the payout as 10x, 9x, 8x. Really, what that normally means for them, 8x is plus 700,
Right.
a little bit deceptive, or 11x is plus 1,000.
Right.
So because they give you your bet back, while as this traditional sports book, if you bet at plus 200, you get your bet back and you get 2 times your bet. So
Right.
it's really like the 3x they call it. So I would need to look at the payouts of every single one of those books. I mean, on like the Crazy Ninja Odds or Crazy Ninja Mike tool that I use, you could really easily put in, okay, here's the payout. I'm getting plus 600 on a 3-leg parlay, and figure out here is the percent that I need to hit at. So I need to get fair odds of minus 122 or lower to win or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I need to go back into the Crazy Ninja Mike Odds tool, whatever.
Yeah, maybe.
Because I've played with that tool like 4 different times for substantial periods. And it doesn't always work out for me.
I'd be happy to coach you. It would take me 20 minutes to show you how to do that in DFS, and you would know it forever. It'd be really easy.
Fun.
I think you could get it down quick.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well,
Yep.
we're going to figure that out then, because I have to have a plan. We're going on a casino road
We
trip.
have to go
on February.
gambling.
Yeah, we have to go do real gambling, Jeff. We're going to like 5 casinos or something in one day. We're going to do it all over the Midwest. And I was looking at him and I was going, now that I don't really gamble much anymore, I don't really have a real bankroll to go do other stuff with. So
I thought for
trying
sure
to work on that.
I thought for sure he was going to turn his 250 on Vivid into at least 300.
Yeah,
Instead of
I was
minus
at
1.
least going to get another turn at the craps table out of it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. Moving on.
Do you bet every day, Jeff?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Gotcha.
I haven't taken in. I can't tell you the last day that I haven't placed a bet. At least 3 years. Yeah.
3
What about you
years.
guys?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't place a bet a couple days ago. That's not true. I definitely bet something.
I had a weird period in December where, life caught up to me quite a bit and I was trying to keep up with life, and that's the only thing. But that's why I wanted to bring you on to talk about promos, because I'm not actively betting against an edge. I'm not actively seeking out my own edges. I'm only just looking for the entertainment while I work on a longer term project, essentially.
And you need the money for gambling.
And I need the money for gambling.
Let's not
now
forget
I
about
need
that.
to churn Underdog just so that I can do a quick cash grab.
Hopefully it works this time.
It will. It will. All right. Last but not least, before we let you go, Jeff, have you ever attended a men's club smoker?
A men's club? I'm not even sure I know exactly what it means. I mean, I could take a guess, but no,
Great.
I have not. Is this like a cigar lounge?
I'm going to give you that breakdown off camera here in a second, Jeff. Folks, tune in next week for our breakdown of how you can make $20 profit by staying sober for 5 hours gambling in your grade school gymnasium.
Tease. What a tease.
Wow.
The men's club smoker, Jeff. It's our favorite event of the year at our kids' school. That was our school when we were growing up.
Was our
You
parents'
go into
school.
a gym, you gamble for 5 hours. They set up carny blackjack rules, carny craps rules, carny
Sick bow.
sick bow rules.
Yeah, it's fun.
You pay $30 to get in. They give you all you can eat brats and German potatoes and all the beer and water and
You're
whatever
giving away
else
the
you
whole
got.
thing.
Yeah.
Thought we were going to talk
I
about this
don't
next
care. He might not listen, so I'm going to tell him now
That's great.
so that he knows.
week. Yeah.
And somehow every year despite the rules are totally rigged. For example, in blackjack, if you tie, you lose.
Right.
So that's how rigged this game is. Despite that, I win every year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do they let you split aces? Is it 3-2 blackjack at least? Is it?
It's 2-1.
2-1 blackjack.
2-1 blackjack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's brutal.
They are really weird. No, that's the 2-1 is great. They give you
Oh, wait, two.
Yeah, that's more.
I was thinking 6 blackjack. So it's actually just 2-1. You get a blackjack. You have $10 out. You're getting a full
Yep.
20 back.
Yeah.
But here's the problem.
Okay.
It literally, if you get a 17 and the dealer gets a 17, they take your money.
Yeah.
So like that's definitely not
It's
worth
way worse.
the trade-off in the blackjack. But here's
Well,
the other
sometimes they
side.
tell you what they have.
Yeah, none of them are real dealers. So the dealers there are people you went to school with and that you know personally, and they're like, "Yeah, I'm strong."
Let me
Just
take a
so
look.
You know,
Hold
let
on.
me see. What I
you
have.
want to hit.
Yeah, you know.
That helps. I was gonna say you should sit in third base. They're probably flashing hold cards.
Oh,
Oh, like
absolutely.
crazy. He'll tell you.
Sometimes they just flip them
sometimes
over.
They just like, sometimes they'll deal it and the card's on top and they'll
Yeah.
go, oops, sorry.
They definitely gauge the temperature of the table and
Yeah.
realize when they got to give some back or
Yeah.
it's not getting fun.
Yeah. Because then on the flip side of it, there are people who walk up who have just been getting hammered all day and they'll throw down $100 on a $2 max table.
Yeah.
They'll put down a $100 bet. They'll go, I want to do it. And then they'll say, okay. And they'll take their $100.
Yep.
So you don't feel bad because you can only bet like
So when Breezy grinds it out for 5 hours and gets out of there $20 ahead, nobody cares.
nobody cares because someone else just gave them 500 for the pleasure.
Yeah.
You were getting free food the whole time. That sounds perfect.
Pretty awesome.
It's a pretty plus EV,
Yeah.
entertainment EV at least.
Sounds
event.
like he's in next year.
All right,
Clear
Jeff,
your
you're
calendar.
You're coming to Peoria, Illinois to do the St. Phil's Men's Club Smoker.
Oh, that's fantastic.
All right. Thank you so much, Jeff, for joining us. You can get all his content via his Twitter at Thee Degen Boosts or on YouTube at Thee Degen Boosts. And check out the Juice Bets Discord for early access to his plays, as well as a ton of other angles to help you bet sports profitably. That's going to do it for us this week. Next week, you get the two of us again, where I promise to bring back Can I Make Juice Laugh? For no reason other than it really makes me giggle. In 2 weeks, we're talking with Ed from Roll to Win Craps. Good juju to your bets, everyone. We'll talk again next week.
Yeah.